So Flashpoint was sales দিক দিয়ে a big success. New 52 launchটা প্রথম দিকে ভালো হয়েছিল. They started everything fresh, new. They did their own storylines, but এটা করছিল, I guess they did bring in a lot of new fans. However, one of the biggest negatives of New 52 and Flashpoint was that, they made a lot of creative changes which really, really pissed off longtime fans. People who have been following DC for the last 10, 15, 20 years religiously. যারা একটা সেট কন্টিনিউইটিতে ইউজ টু ছিল তাদের জন্য বিশাল বড় কিছু চেঞ্জ আনা হয়েছিল, and these changes were, there were some of these changes were, character retcons, so like they did not even exist anymore, and some other lots of changes. Let's talk about some of the changes they made, and some of the things that were lost while we went to New 52. Let's just say প্রথমে বলে রাখি, if you take Batman or Green Lantern, two very popular, two of the most popular superheroes in DC, এদের কন্টিনিউতে কিন্তু ওরকম কোনো চেঞ্জ আসে নাই। যেমন গ্রিন ল্যান্টার্নের স্টোরি আমি আগে গ্রিন ল্যান্টার্নের সময় বলতেছিলাম New 52 আগে যা ছিল পরের দিকে kind of was a continuation. However, এটার হয়তো আমার কাছে মনে হয় যেমন maybe Geoff Johns' influence had something to do with it. But same thing with Batman. এখন Batman তো obviously I'm trying to, but Batman is it's not quite possibly, he is the most popular superhero in the world, with apologies to Spider-Man. এখন ব্যাটম্যানের এই জন্য কোথায় বেবি ডিসি মনে করছে যে ব্যাটম্যানের জন্য তো চেঞ্জ আনার দরকার নাই, মানুষজন এমনিতেই ব্যাটম্যান ফলো করে, তো ব্যাটম্যানের ব্লাড একই রাখি, তো ব্যাটম্যানের এমন কোনো অত মেজর চেঞ্জ আসে নাই। কিন্তু মেজর চেঞ্জ কাদের আসছে বলি আমি। ফার্স্ট অফ অল, যেমন ইফ ইউ থিঙ্ক অ্যাবাউট ইট, ফ্ল্যাশে হিউজ চেঞ্জ আনা হয়েছে। For example, Barry Allen is the main Flash, ঠিক আছে। However, Crisis on Infinite Earths কিন্তু Barry Allen মারা গেছিল। So what happened after that was, right after that, Wally West, who was Kid Flash, basically সে ছিল Barry Allen-এর nephew in law, কারণ Iris West-এর ভাগনা। Wally West became the actual Flash after Wally West became the actual Flash, the main Flash, after Barry Allen died. And he was basically the Flash throughout the mid-80s to all the way till Barry Allen was brought back in Flash Rebirth. This happened around 2009. So basically there's a huge chunk. আপনার চিন্তা করে দেখেন, it's like around, so for like 25 years or close to that, all DC fans knew as Flash was Wally West. Yes, and he had some excellent storylines written by some of the biggest giants in the industry. Mark Waid had a hugely influential run in the 90s as the Flash writer. Tarpore Geoff Johns, he had a very influential run on Flash as well. And all of those storylines concerned Wally West as Flash. Barry Allen তখন একেবারে পিকচারেই ছিল না। And people who grew up in the 90s basically, যেমন আমি বা মুনাজিল বা আমাদের জেনারেশনের পোলাপাইন, আমরা ব্যারি অ্যালেনের গল্প পড়ছি 80s, 60s, 70s এর গল্পগুলা, কিন্তু আমাদের কাছে কিন্তু ফ্ল্যাশ বলতে আমরা ওয়ালি ওয়েস্টকেই বুঝি এখনো, even in this generation. Things like the Flash TV show and the new issue, Barry Allen is awesome, but for us Barry Allen was like this legend, this ideal that Wally West, the current Flash, was trying to live up to. Wally West was our Flash. In the New 52, Wally West disappeared completely in the beginning. He did not even exist. So you can kind of imagine how this pissed off a lot of longtime fans. DC compounded this mistake by what they did was, they brought Wally West back like a few years later, like around 2013 or 14. They brought Wally West back, but this was not the Wally West we knew. This new Wally West was this African American kid who, so basically they changed his race, and a lot of fans were like, WTF. This did not go down well with a lot of fans. Superman and Wonder Woman are an item in in the current New 52 continuity. And as most of you might know, for the last 50-60 years, Superman and Lois Lane were always the couple. They have been the power couple, the first couple of the superhero community, whether it's DC, Marvel, or anyone, because they've been together for so long. Their love story, it's not even just in the comic books. There's an entire TV show based on their relationship in the 90s, Lois and Clark. So basically, they erased all of that. Yeah, and so as you can understand, that did not go down well with a lot of fans either. I hated that change, and it's something, I mean, এটা শুনছিলাম নাকি Geoff Johns' decision ছিল, but as much of a big fan of Geoff Johns as I am, I hated that decision. এখন characterization-এ অনেক difference আনা হয়েছে, which were very controversial as well. Take for someone like Starfire. Starfire was a prominent member of the Teen Titans through the 80s and the 90s, and like to modern era as well. She's this alien who's she's insanely hot, একটা alien girl. What they did was, but she was never supposed to be slutty, I guess. However, what they did was, like in New 52, they completely sexualized her and commoditized her in a very disturbing way. Like, তার characterization was like that, তার কোনো feelings নাই, কোনো কিছু নাই. All she thinks about is like, she thinks about sex all the time. This is the big one. Superman's characterization was completely off in New 52. এখন আপনারা সবাই জানেন that Superman for the last 50-60 years, Superman is the superhero. He transcends DC and Marvel comics. Like, he's an icon. আর সুপারম্যানের পুরো জিনিসটাকে সবসময় আছে, হ্যাঁ, he is the most powerful being in the universe, ঠিকই আছে, কিন্তু তার ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে কি, he's an alien living in Earth, but he's probably more human than all of us. তার humanity, the stuff that he picked up from his adoptive parents, Jonathan and Martha Kent, it's like, that, Shea humble, like, he basically has all the, he's like the perfect man, like, he has all these ideals that we as humans should be aspiring to live up to. However, New 52 Superman, he has none of that. He's basically a very খুবই একটা বলতে গেলে petulant brat marka. He's very angsty, খুবই সারাক্ষণ like খুবই gloomy, dark, সারাক্ষণ brooding. It's kind of like, it's kind of like a 15-year-old who does nothing but listens to Nirvana all day. To read a Superman comic book, it would just fill you up with this joy, like, it's just full of optimism and hope. And this New 52 Superman has none of that. And this is another thing that DC kind of messed up with in New 52, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of long-time readers. তারপর এটা ছাড়া finally আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা বলতে চাই, আরেকটা খুব important জিনিস that DC lost with New 52 was this sense of legacy. When I say this, what do I mean? এখন DCর একটা খুব special জিনিস ছিল, it's kind of like, in the golden age, a lot of superheroes in DC, they kind of started in the 40s, right? এবং এর পরের দিকে in the 60s, what they did was, to appeal to new readers, they kind of kept the superhero names of the superheroes who were there in the 40s, but they gave them different kinds of continuities or like different kind of origin stories. They introduced new characters with the name superhero names. Now, the way DC explained this, which was kind of ingenious in the mid-80s, was that হ্যাঁ 40s এইসব কিছু সুপারহিরো ছিল, এখন এদেরকে দেখে অনুপ্রাণিত হয়ে আরো নতুন জেনারেশন অফ সুপারহিরো ওদের নাম ইউজ করে they kind of like carried on their legacy. So kind of there was this like, DC always had this thing that like Marvel never had this in comparison, that DC had this really nice sense of like progression down the generations, like there's a superhero, he's getting old or whatever, but তারপরে generation he's kind of passing on the baton. Like for example, Golden Age Flash ছিল Jay Garrick, 60s আসলো Barry Allen, and DC টা সুন্দর করে কেমনে করে continuity explanation করছে that like Jay Garrick Golden Age ছিল, এখন তার heroic tales Barry Allen পড়তো তখন when he gained super speed as well, just like Jay Garrick had, but under different circumstances. He is kind of like carrying on the legacy of Jay Garrick. তারপরে Green Lantern যেমন Golden Age Green Lantern ছিল Alan Scott এবং তার legacy carry on করতেছে Hal Jordan. তারপর Atom ছিল Golden Age Al Pratt's কোনো super power ছিল না. It was like a totally different, he was a different kind of character. However, his name was carried on as a sort of legacy by Ray Palmer, who is the most well-known Atom currently. তো এরকম একটা legacy part ছিল, এবং এটাকে আরো সুন্দরভাবে DC explain করছিল. Like they had the Justice Society of America. Justice Society of America was basically a precursor to Justice League during the Second World War in the 40s and 30s, and Jay Garrick Flash, Alan Scott Green Lantern, তারপর Sandman, lots of these Golden Age heroes, they were part of that superhero group. And what they DC explained when they introduced Justice League in the 70s and like after Crisis on Infinite Earths, they kind of explained it as like, oh, hi, 40s আর 50s এ জাস্টিস সোসাইটি অফ আমেরিকা ছিল এবং তাদের থেকে অনুপ্রাণিত হয়ে পরের জেনারেশনের সুপারহিরোরা জাস্টিস লিগ অফ আমেরিকা বানাইছে. So you see, there's this really, really nice, heartwarming sense of like, oh, এই ইউনিভার্সটা একটা কন্টিনিউইটি আছে, আগে একটা গ্রুপ অফ সুপারহিরো ছিল, তারপর এদের লেগেসি পরেরা কন্টিনিউ করতেছে. Now, when New 52 happened, they erased, this whole generational aspect of things, because when New 52 starts, তারা দেখাইছে যে ডিসি ইউনিভার্সের শুরুই হয়েছে মাত্র 5 বছর আগে, মানে 2011 যে স্টোরি দিয়ে শুরু করছিল জাস্টিস লিগের স্টোরিতে, ডার্ক সাইডের সাথে তারা ফাইট করতে তারা গেট টুগেদার করছিল, তার ঠিক ওই সময় থেকে শুরু হয়েছে. সো এর আগে যে একটা সুপার হিরো দেখা জিনিস ছিল, they were superheroes in the 40s, they were superheroes in the 50s, and they had the same names, and they kind of were inspired by their predecessors, and they took over their mantle. এই পুরা জিনিসটা DC completely glossed over, which was a huge mistake on their part, কারণ a lot of comic book fans love that aspect about DC. Like না হলে DC আর মার্ভেলের মধ্যে ডিফারেন্স কি? DC specialty chilo ekta bishal boro this whole legacy thing. I mean, there was a time when DC used to themselves advertise that. They had this, they released this bloody limited series called DC Universe Legacies, which was basically celebrating this entire legacy aspect. And they basically pissed on the entire thing with New 52. Now, Allah jane what got into their head, like I don't know how they thought like igula kore tara notun fan kamai korbe, but notun fan kamai korte jay they totally alienated a bunch of long time fans. People like me and a lot of other people who were like, I mean, ami tarpor DC pori ebong pori because like it's kind of loyalty chole ashe, but tarpor I'm like, something is missing from this damn bloody New 52 universe, which was present before. Like maybe I'm enjoying a lot of these stories, but there are things which just something just feels off.